If you can feel an emotion that's been suppressed, then you can let it go, but you have to first feel it. What Jung said was making the unconscious conscious. And if you can do that without using negativity to get what you want, but just feeling the negativity, it will go away. But it only goes away if you tell the total truth about it. And that's why people get stuck with their negative emotions. They run out of them. Because if you're angry, you're also afraid. If you're sad, you're also angry. If you're feeling guilty, you're also mad. All these emotions are tied in together, and we tend to just dip in a little bit.
John Gray, welcome to the show. And I very much appreciate your time in what I'm going to assume is a very busy schedule. And just before we started, I was saying that so people would obviously know you through your very seminal work, Men Are From Mars and Women From Venus. I would love to hear, since that book, the principles in that book, how your views of female-male relationships have changed, because there's obviously been systemic changes with how we interact with one another since the birth of social media, but perhaps a more in-depth view of evolutionary biology and different social pressures that weren't around when you originally wrote that book. So how do you see the ever-evolving landscape of male-female interpersonal dynamics?
Well, to a great extent, we're all going in the wrong direction if we go with the general cultural theme.
Yeah.
Even then, Men Are From Mars became so popular because I was already against the theme that men and women are the same. It keeps coming in. It was not recognizing how people are different. Always in the name of, well, wouldn't it be great if we're all the same? We'd all get along. Can't we just be the same? Well, we're not just the same. And, the whole point of life is to be able to respect differences and understand differences and come together in spite of differences. And my work is because of differences, we can come together more than ever. I mean, you think about biologically, just the way we men fit into women. If we didn't have our penis, we couldn't go so close. You could only bump up against them. I mean, this is real connection because you recognize that there are differences and we are very different. So here's how it looks. If people say, would you change anything about Men from Mars? Absolutely. The whole theme of that book is men and women are different, and this is how we misinterpret each other. This is how we don't understand each other. And when I explain it, then people go, oh my gosh, I was misinterpreting my partner all the time. And now I'm not feeling unloved. Now I'm not feeling unsupported. And now I understand better what my partner needs. So all of that is just changing our understanding of each other. Now, if if right now, if somebody was in a traditional relationship living in the 70s and 80s when I was developing those ideas, those ideas would still apply because men and women are still men and women. But the world has changed dramatically. Our culture has changed dramatically. So when women are no longer more traditional women staying at home, raising their children, but they're living and if they are, they're living in a crazy busy world today. But most women are more independent. As soon as women become more independent, it changes the whole dynamic of relationship. It causes women to be overwhelmed and more stressed. So we have research showing that women today are more stressed. Women today are more overwhelmed. And if you look at this hormonally, you'll see they're making and pumping up male hormones all day long, and they're not making enough female hormones. And in order to be aligned with nature or evolution, women need to be making female hormones or you get punished. And that punishment is stress. You're not happy. You're not fulfilled. When you align with your soul destiny or your evolutionary biology destiny, either one, you experience happiness. You experience aliveness. And when you go against that, what's going to happen is you're going to suffer. Suffering is nature's way of telling us you have to self-correct. And we are suffering in relationships today quite a bit. We see it. And because of all the opposition to my ideas, even though hundreds of millions of people love my work, there's millions more that are very threatened by it, don't understand it. They think I'm a sexist and whatever. And if you're in a relationship, that's usually where people go, wow, he's describing our relationship. But for many couples today, if you read the seminal work, Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus, you would say, well, that's not how our relationship looks. Because in that book, I'm constantly using just examples that people relate to. So fast forward to now, I think it was about 2008 or 9 was a relationship where I wrote Beyond Mars and Venus. how things have changed. And I showed how as women are in the workplace, they're no longer making the female hormones like they used to. And this is science backed. And therefore, they don't know what they need. It's as simple
Mm.
as that. If you're sick and you go to a doctor, if he's going to help you, he's going to tell you what you need, the nutrition, the support, what are you missing? They're going to point out what you're missing. And you didn't know that before. If you'd known that before, then you could have easily done that. Let's say it was just vitamin C deficiency. And so he says, just take this vitamin C and your scurvy will go away, and it will. But you didn't know that, you'll die. So
Yeah.
there's so many things that men don't know, so many things that women don't know. And the reason men don't know it is because women have changed. Let's say you had
Mhm.
a pretty good father and you did what your father did, it wouldn't work today.
No.
My dad did. My parents had a great relationship. I'm sorry, I have an allergy right here itching my nose.
That's okay.
But what happens is if I did what my dad did that made my mother happy, it wouldn't be enough for my wife. He was a good provider. He didn't yell and scream. He would just yell and scream at the TV, at the news. That was it. And my mother had 7 kids. She's a happy woman, very grateful, loved my dad, made lots of babies, stayed together, an intact family. I didn't even know couples had problems. This is, I became a therapist to try to figure out how are all these people getting divorced? What happens? You start out in love, what happens? So I found out. And one of the obvious things to me when I started becoming a counselor and experiencing is women just don't understand men, and men don't know what to do. We're perplexed. What we think we're doing is going to help situations, it makes it worse. What women think they're doing the right thing, and it makes it worse. So, was be able to recognize, and Men Are From Mars, there's like 8 different patterns that can change your whole life. But those won't if you recognize them. Sometimes people say, what's great about my work is that I'm not asking you to change. I'm just asking you to look at things differently.
Mm.
If you were like in a big room and you had to go to the bathroom and they said, well, you have to go down this hall and go over there and go over there. It's a big job. But what if the door to the bathroom in my office is right there? It's just saying, hey, the door's right there. It's easy. You just have to know where the door is. It's not like I have to change myself. And I'm into transformation. I'm a therapist. I'm a yogi. I meditate, higher consciousness, all that stuff. But when it comes to relationships, the whole idea that we often teach is about manifestation. If you change yourself, change your attitude, change yourself, the world changes and does it
Mm.
magically.
Mm.
Opportunities show up. Things really do change. But there's a delay. When it comes to being in a relationship, it's instantaneous because you're one, you're connected.
Mhm.
And what I teach to women is when you change you, men will immediately change.
Mm.
But when men change themselves, it doesn't immediately change women.
Mm.
There's a difference there. There's an old
That's
saying
interesting.
which is a happy wife,
Yeah.
happy life. There's no saying that says happy husband, happy wife.
Yeah.
When you really
That's
understand this,
that's true sexism, John.
that's true sexism. Now, there's a lot we men can do to help women. There's no doubt about it. But, it's another essence. If you look at any success principle, and I've written books on success, the number one thing is only a new seed can get a new crop. If you
Yeah.
don't make a change within your marketing, within your strategy, within your product, if you're not selling, you have to change. You can't complain to uh, the people that want to buy your product. You can't. All those people out there, they don't appreciate me. They don't like me. No, wait. I got to adjust what I'm providing for them to fulfill a need. That's just, and we men have to learn that. But if women don't know how to cooperate with that, I mean, you could have the perfect man doing everything right, but if a woman doesn't do her share of her work, it won't work. Now, what I know to be different, if a woman does her share and she does her work to open her heart, every man will change.
Mm.
Men are easily changed by women. Women are not easily changed by men unless women take responsibility for letting go of their resentments, for letting go of their suppressed emotions. Because one of the dynamics for women that's different from men and women, one of the differences is that in the workplace, because remember, women were not in the workplace, the male workplace, competing with men. Okay, that's a whole different hormone gets produced. And that hormone doesn't lower a woman's stress. If a
Yeah.
man is in the workplace and he feels successful in the competition, it will lower his stress. It will build his testosterone. But it does nothing for a woman in terms of lowering her stress. What lowers her stress is when she's doing things in relationship that can raise her estrogen, her
Mm,
oxytocin. These are a set of hormones that are really important for her to feel safe. When a woman feels safe, then her stress levels go down, her heart opens, and she can be happy, she can be loving, she can be vulnerable, she can be receptive. And it's only when she can open up that you can go in.
mm,
It's very biological, and even you can picture it. She has to open up. We have to do things to make it safe. And so, particularly men do a lot of stuff that doesn't make it safe. But she has to know her side of it, which is why I haven't written a book in 8 years, but I realized for 45 years, I've been counseling women in my office, and the men don't come. They read my book and make great changes. I was just talking to a man just now. The book changed his life without a doubt. But women come in here and their husbands aren't there, and their marriages get better. The man didn't have to be here.
mm,
So I've had the experience that if women can make certain changes, specific changes in their relationship, that man will become the man she married. I can't make him better than that, but he's the guy that she's always feeling like he's changed. He's no longer attentive. He's no longer interested. He doesn't care as much. He ignores me. All those complaints she has
mm.
is she has the power to bring back the man she married. Now, if he wasn't ever there, then you can't get that back. And so there's a lot of problems that couples experience. I was just in Saudi Arabia and I was teaching one of my seminars there. I teach it around the world, and they're always a little new and different. But one of the phrases from my new book came right out when I was giving the talk, and it was, "Women, you need to understand when you make a man your hero, he will die for you, and if you don't make him your hero, he'll die because of you."
Mm.
Now, I'll give you the science behind that. Our brains are very different in certain ways, and they're the same in a ton of ways. But it's where they're different is where we misinterpret each other. So one of the differences is mirror neurons. Are you familiar with that term? Yeah,
I am,
kind of.
yes, but if we explain it to some people who aren't.
So research has now shown with all the brain scans and activity and tests and so forth. 8 years ago, they discovered this. So a mirror neuron, when it's activated, we'll call them like open. These neurons activate. They allow you to feel empathy. They allow you to feel, oh, you're happy today. I can feel happy because of you. Oh, I'm in pain. You'll feel my pain. This is empathy.
Mm,
And whenever a woman throughout her day, her mirror neurons are always open. They don't close down for a woman unless she feels very, very angry or shut down. Usually, after a lot of abuse, a woman's mirror neurons will close to that particular person. Okay, so it's like it's a lot of problems to get her to shut down her mirror neurons. All it takes for a man, and that would be what's called chronic stress. That's cortisol being produced over a long time. Then her mirror neurons will shut down, particularly whoever was stressing her. All it takes for a man to shut down his mirror neurons is just a little adrenaline. Adrenaline is minor stress. It'd be like going 75 miles an hour and when the speed limit is 55. So you're going a little danger, but you're able to handle it. That's adrenaline. That's why men climb mountains and drive fast and do different things. It produces adrenaline. And what happens with adrenaline is that men's feelings shut down. They experience uh, fear shuts down, anger shuts down, worry shuts down, which is why it's an easy way for men to disconnect from their emotions that hold them back. So, adrenaline helps you feel confident and powerful. It surges your testosterone up in a positive way. So, whenever a man feels blamed, like let's say your wife says to you, we need to talk,
no,
instantly your mirror neurons will close down.
yeah,
Instantly. And so, whatever she says, you're not going to feel her. And so she's going to feel you don't hear me. And this is a women's big complaint. He doesn't understand me. He doesn't listen to me. And you're going, I can tell you everything you just said, but they won't feel it because you can't feel it. Because a part of you as a man, if there's adrenaline, your empathy shuts down. Now, let's say there's not any blame. Then what happens is you start to feel what she feels, and she will feel heard. She will feel connected. If we can think about our hormone systems in our body, we have a stress hormone, cortisol or adrenaline. particularly cortisol. That's the real stress hormone. That's when there's danger and you're not sure you can handle it. Okay, so there's and one other difference with just moderate stress, which is there's stress, there's danger, lack of safety, but I can handle it. That's adrenaline. For men, they stop having emotions. For women, they have 3 times more emotions. So women have all this emotion. And now think about what the workplace is. Workplace is adrenaline, okay? Solving problems. Anytime you have to make a decision with a consequence, that will produce adrenaline. And men thrive under adrenaline because it makes testosterone, but you do have to recover from it. But testosterone lowers a man's stress. Estrogen lowers a woman's stress. These are real biological
Yeah.
differences.
Yeah,
And in my
absolutely.
new book, actually put the references to it, so it's full of references for people who kind of go, what? I never heard of this. I always thought high testosterone makes men angry. No,
No,
when a
no,
man is
it's
angry, it's low T, high estrogen.
yeah.
And so why do men usually get angry most at their wives? Because when you're talking to your wife, you love her, you care about her, your estrogen goes up, but your T goes down if you're not feeling confident, if you're not feeling appreciated, if you're not feeling like you're
Mm,
her hero. If you're the bad guy, you'll become the bad guy. So, and there's practical solutions for all these things, but first the knowledge has to be there. For a man to be like not stressed, he needs to be making on average 10 times more testosterone than a woman. For a woman to be not stressed, generally speaking, at most times of the month, she needs to be making at least 10 times more estrogen than a man. But for 5 days before ovulation, she needs to be making 20 times more estrogen than a man. And estrogen, if she doesn't get that estrogen, that extra estrogen, her brain starts looking around going, I don't have enough love. I don't have the support. I don't have this. I don't have enough time. So moods are always going up and down based upon their cycle is changing. And then when they start moving towards their period, they have to make more progesterone than estrogen. And that more progesterone, if they're not making it, they're going to have PMS. And once again, they're not happy. It's a different kind of unhappiness.
mm,
She's busy making testosterone. She can't be making enough progesterone.
mm,
Progesterone is produced in women when when they feel I'm doing what I want to do, not out of obligation. There's this feeling of I have to do something that can lower her progesterone levels. Certainly there's things we have to do, but when you're doing a lot of things that you have to do that you don't want to do, that's going to produce a lot of testosterone, but not progesterone. When a woman on the other side of her cycle, when she's moving towards ovulation, she needs more estrogen. And estrogen goes up when a woman feels safe and I have what I need. Actually, when she feels safe and I need help, I feel safe to ask for help. But you see, the modern woman doesn't need help. And the modern woman all day you can't show that you need help. You have to be confident and capable. And what stimulates estrogen is when you feel I have help available to me and I can ask for it and I can get it.
mm,
Now, traditionally, in my mother's situation, she didn't have to ask for it. She was already getting it because men knew what your job was: make money, come home, police the kids, watch TV. That was my dad's life. My mother was very happy. Women did not have the emotional needs they have now. What's happened because women moved to their male side is we as men have a new role. It's not just helping out, making money, and those kind of things. Some cases that's more important, sometimes less important because she's already making much money. So if she's making as much money as you have no significance in her life.
yep,
What does she need? She
yeah,
doesn't know what she needs. That's what I was alluding to. And women don't know what they need today. What they need is a new kind of emotional support because emotional support helps their estrogen come back up. So they've been in testosterone all day. How to get back to estrogen? So when I tell women this in the beginning, is that he has to learn how to give a new kind of emotional support. Women go, yes, men don't have emotional intelligence. Yes, men need to be more emotional. I said, no, that's the
no,
opposite.
it doesn't
Men need
work.
to be masculine.
Yeah,
Masculinity has always been what supports women. It's grounded, it's confident, it's not full of anxiety and fear. It's non-reactive. It's like roots in a tree. You can blow the wind and it doesn't knock me over. That's the ideal. Now, men have to learn how to get back to that place. But what they don't know and what women don't know is that when a woman is upset and she's talking, it will make you upset. It's just you mirror her, right? You're just like it's just a reaction. Somebody punches you, you punch back. That's a react. You don't actually mirror her feelings, but you'll defend yourself. So when you react, what's going to happen is she's going to get you to talk. She's going to, well, why would you say that? Well, you didn't do this, but why were you doing that? She's going to, a lot of questions will come out of her, provoking you into talking. And she does that instinctively because if she's upset and she talks, that will raise her estrogen and lower her stress. So her tendency is to get a man to talk. It's the worst thing ever. And this is psychology thinks conversation, talking is the solution to everything. It's indoctrinated into a woman's mind. It's her own instincts. For men, it's not to talk. It's literally stop talking. Every word you speak when you're upset with a woman is going to raise your estrogen more because talking about your feelings raises estrogen. And unless you have strong testosterone, talking about your feelings will only raise your stress levels. Talking about your feelings when they're positive will raise, you'll open your heart, you'll feel more love. Because whenever a man has negative emotions, it's already a sign his testosterone's too low and his estrogen's too high. And doing anything at that time to raise estrogen will only make him more and more upset. And women do this unknowingly. And they just say, oh, I was a good listener. I asked questions. I talked. We talked. It just escalates. It will always escalate until women understand that when men are upset, give them space. If you look at it in the movies, you'll see this, and most guys know this. If you want to start a fight, all you have to do is walk into a man's space and look at him. Okay. You take away space, and suddenly it activates us.
Mm.
Because it's more connection. When you're not feeling love in your heart, trust in your heart, feeling good about somebody, a friend with somebody, you get in their space, what's going to happen is connection. And then the other person's going to have those same feelings as well, and you start a fight. So I heard just the person the other day, I hear other people's advice, just hear other people are teaching. And you're upset with your partner, you need to have eye contact and look at them. And then you need to talk about your feelings. I go, no.
That's going to piss her off.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Well, it's going to activate him too.
Limb too, yeah.
So, and I was counseling a man today, and he had read the book for men is called Beyond Mars and Venus because it explains to men the hormones that go along with masculinity, hormones that go with femininity, and that book can really help men a lot. But the new book that I'm writing, a series of 6 books for women only, because I've seen that women, without the man having to change at all, can bring out the best in a man. And all a man can do is hope his wife reads my books, because when a woman is thinking that we're the same, you should be the way I am, there's nothing you can do about it. Because for a man is when you find yourself being annoyed or irritated by your partner or just annoyed by anything, you need space. And women think you need connection. And if you don't connect with me, then you don't love me. And if you just be masculine, then you don't love me. I'm not going to open my heart. Women have to understand how men are different from women. And now you take a woman who didn't grow up with a mother who was happy with her father. If mom and dad didn't love each other, then she doesn't even know what a healthy man looks like. She doesn't know the calm and the peace that you can get from a husband who doesn't talk. He doesn't talk so much, just like
Yeah.
it's like so grounding, for me. I had to learn this because I'm a big talker in my business. I'm solving problems, a big talker, but I had to learn how to listen without talking. It's a big lesson for men to learn. But see, even if a man didn't learn that lesson and she's talking and a guy starts talking, she can say, oh, I just need to talk for like 5 minutes without you saying anything. I just give me 10 minutes and I'll be fine. You don't have to say anything. And then a man will do it. Men are so
Mm.
easy because we're strategy oriented. All a woman has to do is understand men, give him the strategy, let him know the reward is it will make you happier. He'll do it. But now, if I just tell my wife, what I'd like you to do, honey, is give me space when I'm upset. Well, you shouldn't do that. We should talk. See, she's been indoctrinated with all the ideas of modern psychology, which feminize men. And on top of that, she has her own instinctive experience of what is it that works for me. If she doesn't understand men are different, she's going to think that's what should work for you. So understanding differences is so important For a man, he can certainly help out. But if a woman doesn't get that men are different and they're supposed to be different and they can't give you everything you need. I was just doing one of my shows, podcasts on the first few pages of the new book. And one of the phrases there, I have these little pull out phrases, is whenever you're suffering, women, you're depending too much. Okay. There's other places in your life where you need to get your love and support. If you're unhappy with your husband, you're depending on him too much. It's as simple as that. Now, the flip side of that is, well, then I should I not depend on him at all? And that's a lot of new age thinking, which is, oh, I don't need him to be whole and I can take care of myself. I can do my own thing. Well, you'll be making testosterone all the time. You need to make 10 times more estrogen than him. And if you want an orgasm, you can make 20 times more estrogen than him. This is like, you have to wear many hats, and women complain they have many hats without a doubt. But the most important hat is that you're able to put on the hat of being feminine. And the world is changing now. I mean, women are starting to realize that I'm stressed out. I need to connect with my feminine. I need to be softer, but they don't know how to do it because part of being feminine is supporting a man and being masculine. If you're ever trying to change a man, you're in your male side. Anytime you're trying to solve a problem, you're on your male side. Whenever you're asking for help, make him your hero. He'll change. He'll do whatever's required to solve the problem. But these are advanced communication skills that women do not have. My mother didn't have them, but she didn't need them because my dad did his role. All he had to do was his job and come home and do what he didn't have to do, which is relax and watch TV. And if she needed something, she'd ask for it. But basically, she was happy, content. And people could say, well, they must not have romance and passion. They certainly did. We used to listen at the door, and they had 7 kids. This was it's just when our needs are being met, the passion will be there. But what creates the attraction is polarity. Polarity is a North Pole and a South Pole. If he has to give up his North Pole to connect with her and become South Pole as well, there's no attraction. And if she's over on her male side, and this is part of why males today, a young guy, 25 years old, he has less testosterone than just 20 years ago, 20% less,
Quite a lot,
50%
yes.
less than when I was growing up. It's shocking. And a big part of this is men don't feel needed by women.
Mm.
Because,
Yeah.
I remember when I was a little boy and kind of resenting for a little while, you mean I have to make all this money in order to have sex? Which in those days, you're married to have sex. I was like, this is unfair. And then fortunately, I had mentors. I had role models of men who taught me how to be a man, how to be successful, and so forth. So I had my confidence. A lot of men how can you have confidence? Some men get it because they get mentors. If you don't have a father showing you how to make a woman happy and how to also make enough money to provide for a woman, which is already so hard today. And so women now feeling like I don't need a man, it just shuts a man down. And a woman who comes home on her masculine side, if a man loves her, he will tend to become more feminine. Because we want connection. We need connection, but we need to be separate and then connect, and then be separate and then connect. And if our partner is not appreciating us, loving us, whatever, and she's on her male side, overwhelmed, busy, we will naturally tend to become passive. You see this when women are overwhelmed, it makes men tired. And she can't understand, why are you so tired? When your guy friends call and you suddenly have energy, you come alive, it's because they're not trying to change you. They're not looking at you like, why aren't you helping me? Why aren't you doing something? All it takes is for a woman to want to try to change us. That's her male side that's trying to fix something, fix us, get us to change. It makes us tired. It's not love. Women don't know what love is. They know how to love a child. That's instinctive to them. But to love a man is to feel I depend on him for things that are most significant to me. And women today don't know what's most significant because the past significance came from men being able to provide money and safety. That's still there. But because women either can or have the option to make money on their own, our significance has gone down. So what is now significant? It was a man knows how to provide the emotional support that she needs to come back to her female side. And he will never know that. He won't be able to apply that unless she knows how to ask for it. She has to actually learn how to ask, not instruct, but ask him for what she would like. And so I give her all the languaging in this new book, how to do it without turning a guy off like you're his teacher, like you know better, and so forth.
Mm. Wow, John, there's so much in that. I think for me, you've really given the perfect arc for male female in my own experience in my relationships for things that have gone wrong, and for the overarching principles. That's exactly it in terms of that misunderstanding between communication, space, uh, asking to be emotional when I'm not that kind of person. I'm more, but I really want to touch on this because I'm sure there's a lot of people, because you alluded to it, with a lot of the new age psychology and thinking around male female dynamics. So the criticism is when you start talking about evolutionary biology or principles for males and females, you'll get a very unnuanced part of a community saying, as you said, you sexist, you want women like your mum back in the kitchen who don't work. They want all of these patriarchal, that I would call it, ideas. And I've had discussions with close friends when I talk about evolutionary biology, because I'm very interested in these subconscious drivers of patterns that we do without our awareness of, because they're subconscious, that have been honed over a millennia. You can't just remove that because of, say, 80 years of modernity or whatever time period where the culture has changed dramatically, and say they aren't still running through us and causing a lot of friction between modernity and how we're biologically wired. And all of that is not to say that we are, of course, we are all individuals. Our differences is our greatest strengths. That's the cert Yeah, yeah, and you can't then say that, and no one's, if you wanna be a woman and go and be a big CEO, and no one's telling you that's completely fine. No, you're not saying that. No, 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 I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I'm saying when I hear critiques of these, of what you just laid out, these are they're sort of straw man arguments, and it's not what you're saying. You're And actually, if people just listen with more of an open heart, with less defenses, and because you're not trying to no one's trying to shut anyone down from being who they are or doing what they want to do in life. But if you want to have a relationship, there's just overarching themes that are wired into our bodies, which create certain patterns.
Yes,
And that's why, yeah,
you
it's the
said two
truth.
things here. I want to comment on them. One
Yeah.
is, first of all, I haven't even gotten to in our conversation, what do we do about this
Mm,
problem? I just talked about the problem. And the solution is not that if a woman wants to be CEO, work in a workplace, that's her choice. And today makes it so easy for her with education and so forth. Go for it. But if you're not happy, which so many women are not happy, or if you're alone and you find that no man turns you on, they're never good enough for you, you have a problem. Now,
mm,
does the problem mean you can't be in the workplace? No. It means that if you create a relationship outside the workplace, many types of relationships, which I explore, but if you have the relationship outside the workplace that will raise your estrogen, then when you're in the workplace, you actually make more estrogen and your stress goes down. Because it's the anticipation of getting support. It's not even getting support that raises estrogen. It's the anticipation, like I'm in danger and help is here. That's what raises estrogen. So, ironically, the more women are in the workplace, the more stressed they are, the more they need someone to help them. Help them is how estrogen goes up. So, these are the women that actually have a greater potential to be multi-orgasmic because they really, if they just become aware that I need help when I'm not in the workplace where I'm helping everybody else. So she's
mm,
solving problems all day long. That's a big source of stress for women unless they anticipate when the day is over, I come home to a relationship where I can be nurtured and supported and treated like a queen. And my wife thinks she's a queen. She says, "I feel like I'm a queen when I'm with you." And I say, "Yes, because and I love that because I feel like I'm the king." And she treats me like I'm the king. But it's not the notion a lot of people have of a king who's like, so many of the
yeah,
kings are tyrants. They're usually tyrants, but
yeah,
a real king or a real general is thinking about everybody else. He's not thinking about himself. He's constantly thinking about everybody else. It's a big job to be a good king. Your whole life is taking care of everybody else.
mm,
So, and that's why they can be pampered a bit because they're giving so much and they need. So, so what I'm saying here is that I'm not, my message is we have a new problem. You can't question the problem. It's biological, But the solution does not mean turn back the clock. The solution means make sure you've adapted to this new challenge evolutionary because these hormones are real. Now, the other thing you said is we have a lot of subconscious programming. Uh, we do. And this is, this is negative programming where we become defensive, we become arrogant, we become needy, we become demanding, we have low self esteem. A lot that's wounding from childhood. We all have it to various degrees. But the idea is sometimes people say, well, men have this subconscious training that makes us want to achieve goals and be goal oriented. No, that's biology. And what we have is we come out of this world with these very clear differences. And people used to argue with me on is it nature or nurture? Nature means we're just born different. We are different. And nurture is we're nurtured. Boys are trained to be masculine.
Mm,
And I'll say both are
mm.
true. Boys are being trained to be feminine. The whole
Yeah.
idea of culture, it should support nurture should support your nature. And our nature is men and women have a different whole hormonal set. And that needs to be nurtured as opposed to you should be more like a woman, women should be more like a man. That's only created problems. And we can see the problems today.
Mm. I think when I look at the proliferation of, say, very ideas which I don't think fit us as a species, and I look at the people, particularly men who are perpetrating them, to my mind, they just look biologically unbalanced. Like, in terms of like chemically imbalanced, sorry, I should say. And it's like you're just low testosterone. That's what you're really, yeah. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, well, some people again, I teach in universities, they say, "Oh, this is not hormones. Hormones don't control your thinking and your feeling. It's
Oh,
the
yes, they
thinking and
do.
feeling that controls your hormones." Well, yeah, thinking and feeling control hormones, and hormones control thinking and feeling.
Mm.
The stress hormone cortisol completely changes brain function. Completely
Shut you
changes
down.
it. You can't
Yeah.
access good logic, you're pessimistic, you're reactive, you have no heart, you have no feeling. So, certainly the stress hormone we know changes, and we also know that whenever you're making stress hormones, your body's making testosterone, estrogen. But they'll say, "Oh, then people would just give you hormones to feel better." Actually, people do that. You can give people hormones, but my message, however, is change your thinking, change your attitude, change your mindset, change the way you're relating is what a lot of people don't realize. It's not just mindset. That's part of it. Mindset tells you how to relate to someone, but it's through our relationships with the opposite sex, with the same sex. It's like for my work, I would tell men who are upset and grumpy and irritable, stop talking to your wife so much and go start talking to men and start doing more things with men. That's where you'll build your testosterone up. So then it has to be at a certain level to where then when you're connecting with your wife, it will go even higher. If your testosterone's low and you're trying to connect with your wife, your estrogen will go up. Connection increases estrogen. That's why a big part of Men Are From Mars, it still is there in all the new books and everything, is that men need cave time. And cave time is, I have a new way of describing it that actually just came out today in my talk. I was improving my languaging. And it was a man lives in a world of I have to do this, I have to do this. And if he can do it from choice, he's going to fear low stress. Men who feel I have to do this and they're not choosing to do it, then they'll whine and complain and they'll go to their female side, like women complaining, "Oh, I have to do this, I have to do this. I feel like I'm a victim," and all that. When a man goes there, it's really bad. It's because he has goals and he's not choosing to do what you have to do to achieve those goals. So for me, every day I have a list of things I have to do today
Mm.
and I look at it every day. I look at it before I go to bed. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do tomorrow, and I let go. Now, some people don't recommend that because then they might have anxiety when they go to bed. But to me, the things I have to do are things I can easily do. So I look at my list. I go to bed knowing tomorrow I can do that. I get up. I look at my list. I know what I have to do. It's so important because now you're choosing. I made
Mm.
that list. Okay, that's my list. So what do I have to do to get there? Now, that's your work day. That's what I have to do. Now, what a man has to do as well is create some time when he gets home to do what he doesn't have to do. It's a balance. You go out, you have to come out. You lift heavy weights, you have to rest your muscles. You work hard, you need to go on vacation. So we're in this place of doing what I have to do, choosing it, and then having time to do what I don't have to do, but doing things that increase testosterone, which would be sports. It could be uh, I mean, for me, it's meditation. I'm a yogi. If you do meditation, it's a discipline. Anything that requires discipline, any hobby that you have where you like doing it, you choose to do it, you enjoy doing it, but it has nothing to do with what you want to do for your wife or your children, because that's something that you love to do and you don't have to do it. Okay. You do it because you choose to do it, but you're coming from a place of, I have to do, I don't have to do. And now it's something I want to do or have to do, either one, that makes estrogen. Because whenever you're serving your children or your wife, that's your major motivation. That's what brings out the best in men. That's what opens your heart. I mean, there's healthy ways to open your heart, unhealthy ways. I could also be a guy and I could, in my cave, I could go do some porn. And for a few minutes, I would love it. But that's not gonna, it gives like a spurt of testosterone and then
Yeah,
it's
that's
gone.
right.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
And you
so
go,
there are healthy cave activities and unhealthy cave activities, but he needs to have this freedom from I have to do, doing things I don't have to do. And now he comes back to really giving to his children because ultimately that's our big commitment. If you're married and you have children, that gives me a life. You know, I have grandchildren, 5 grandchildren, and I want to create a better world for them, but also I want to create a better life for them. So I'm here helping all the parents and everything. But to a great extent, my children don't need me so much as the grandchildren, and they just
mm,
cherish the time with me. They need to have just somebody who comes who's at peace, doesn't have a lot of worries, is grounded. With a little child, I can be 1,000 times more present because they're so easy to fulfill. I have so much confidence. Now, fortunately, in my job, I have a lot of confidence, so I'm not stressed in my work. So I have a balance of testosterone, estrogen, which would mean I'm working hard, but I also enjoy my work. Anytime you're enjoying something as a man, or you love something, you make estrogen. When you're doing something you have to do, discipline, detach, get the job done, don't complain. It can be hard, it can be difficult, but I chose to do it. That's very masculine. But when something's easy and you love it, you're having fun, that's your estrogen side. So to have both is the ultimate spiritual state. You get a glimpse of that when you have orgasm with your partner, when you're both being multi-orgasmic and you look at the
mm,
hormones when couples are having orgasms, his testosterone, estrogen are at peak levels. For a woman, she's having orgasms, her estrogen, testosterone levels are at peak levels.
mm. I
That's
think I sorry, go on.
I'm just itching my nose. I'm sorry about
Oh,
that.
no, no, you're completely fine.
I have this
Don't
crazy
apologize.
allergy.
I really would like to touch upon what you mentioned earlier with women and how when they change, the man changes. And look, I'm sure this is probably what your partly what your new book is about. But is there a yeah, is there a simplification for how what's your observation of why that's so and what are those changes? What do those changes look like?
Okay. So let's just look at the opposite of that. I'm really happy and my wife's not happy one day and I'm really happy. Does she feel connected to me? No.
Mm,
Women need connection. So I learned that because, I have a successful job and, Jennifer Mars was so famous. I could go to New York. The movie stars wanted to meet me. They're all reading my books. Everybody read my books. So I stayed at the best hotels. I fly home. I come home. Everything was, and she said, how was your, I go away 3 or 4 days. And she says, well, how did it go? Oh, it's fantastic. I met so-and-so. The restaurant was fantastic. Oh, sushi in New York. Amazing. So I'm like just talking about how amazing my life is. And I could watch like a big black cloud come into the room where she's like thinking, you're having all the fun. Do you know what it's like to be home here with 3 kids and the plumbing went out and so you weren't here when this happened and I had to do this and you're not here. You think my job's easy? So literally a man's happiness, if she's already happy, she'll connect with your happiness. She's happy for you. But if you're really happy and she's not happy, your happiness doesn't make her happier. Now let's flip the thing. At times I've had for I don't know 40 years. I've had so much criticism from the press. They write terrible things about me. They lies about me and whatever. So one time it was in USA Today, and I had a Broadway show. I get standing ovations, and they didn't say that. They said John had a Broadway show, and people booed. And of course, people did boo. They didn't boo at me. That was somebody who was disruptive in the audience, and they were booing that person. So USA Today says, "Oh, and the people booed." I, I was. I felt so unfairly treated, and I can let it go. I mean, I've learned to deal with this. But some person put that newspaper article up in my daughter's school in 4th grade, and all the kids made fun of her. "Oh, you thought your father's so great?" And I'm sure she was a "My dad is so and so." She probably did, but now they could pounce on her, which kids will tend to do because they read the article, "Oh, your dad's a failure." They laughed at him. They booed at him in New York. Anyway, that really got to me. So I was down and I was crashed. And so now I'm laying in bed. I just feel like I can't do it. I can't, I was just so I felt so mistreated. I was in my back victim state temporarily. My testosterone had been crashed. Okay. I felt powerless to change this. I can't change it. This is already there. So my wife had read my book at that time, and so she knew what to do. And she told me later, she said, I had actually call a friend to do what you suggest women to do. And what was that? My book says, if your husband's upset, go do something to make you happy. The opposite of if I do something make me happy when my wife's upset, she'll feel betrayed, abandoned, unhappy. But if she goes off and does something to make herself happy, that makes me feel good. And why does it? And so she couldn't believe it because she doesn't think like a man. She got a girlfriend. They went shopping. She bought a bunch of dresses. She came home. She said, oh, John, I wouldn't actually completely ignored that I was all upset in my cave. And she says, I just went shopping. I bought some new outfits. Do you want to see them? And I went, okay, show them to me. And I just watching her change her clothes and put on the outfits and it completely ignoring me, but looking how pretty she looked, my whole mood changed. And biologically, why? Because, well, I felt powerless to fix this other situation. Here was my wife being happy, and I take credit for that. Because whenever your wife is happy, happy wife, happy life, because when your wife is happy, she's my wife. She's mine. She's a part of me. And so if she's happy, I did that on an emotional level. Men are attached to women in that way. So if she's happy, my testosterone goes up. I did that, and my mood was over. And if women could just understand this, it's a big difference. So, yes, she changes, she becomes happier. And biologically, if her estrogen goes up, my testosterone naturally go up, particularly if we're in a committed relationship. Because in a committed relationship, when you make love, there's this feeling of you're mine and I'm yours and we're one.
Mm,
You're mine and I'm yours. This surrender happens, this attachment happens, and this feeling of oneness happens. That's a beautiful orgasmic moment of oneness. So once you establish that attachment, there's another hormone that gets produced, and it's called prolactin. And prolactin can also is associated with certain sicknesses, but when it's in a committed relationship and it results after making love, it causes a man to become more bonded with his partner, more connected to his partner. So he loses attraction to other women. This is something men can look forward to. You just see all other women as beautiful flowers, but you have no need to have sex with them because you're bonded with this prolactin hormone. It lowers your drive to have sex with other women, and it makes it actually lowers your whole sex drive. That's why, because nature says if you're going to make a baby with a woman,
mm,
we don't want
you-
you out there fooling around. We want you staying at home. So the body produces prolactin. If you're in a committed relationship, it produces 5 times more in a man and a woman than other people having sex, and it lasts a lot longer. So what prolactin does is it says, uh, I'm bonded to my partner, I'm connected to my partner more, and it takes away his need to have high dopamine. It also cures addictions and so forth. But what will happen is, or can at least help with those things, is they will lose the sexual attraction with prolactin. His interest in sex will go down unless there's polarity. If there's polarity, now it's the difference between male and female that will cause the attraction. If he does things to raise his testosterone, she does things that raise their estrogen, that's what happens that causes to come together. So it's almost like doomsday to get married to someone and be committed to them. So many couples are happy together, but they've given up sex because men don't instinctively want to have sex when they have prolactin. It it lessens your hunger, and we might say your need for lust. To find a new and different woman. It's kind of like it just doesn't show up, except if you have polarity, and then polarity is the saving grace. Because whenever she's more feminine, I'm more masculine. What's happening? Her estrogen levels are going higher, his testosterone's going higher, and we know that women are more attracted to men when their estrogens get up to that 20 times more level.
mm.
And of course, men with high testosterone are always attracted to women. They want to find someone. So this is also, you're into evolutionary psychology, and a lot of books are written about the fact that men have so many sperm, we can make babies all day long. We're designed to go make babies. You see a
Mm.
woman and you don't have children, you're ready to go get that woman. You're ready to go get that woman. So then if you actually have your children and you're in a committed relationship, then your body gives you prolactin that prevents you from being interested in having sex
Mm.
unless you have polarity. So I'm an example of that. I'm 74 years old. I have sex almost every
Yeah.
day with my wife because there's so much polarity. Because she's not always here. Okay, when she's here, we have sex. But she's like I was. My wife of 34 years died, and after a few years, I remarried. And the woman I remarried to also has a career, and she travels and teaches classes on relationships, and I'm home or I'm off traveling. But you see, I think that one of the big secrets of success in my marriage is that we had our own lives
It's
and we came together. And that was really important. If you're just together all the time, it doesn't mean you can't be successful. It was just easy for me because of that. But when couples work together all the time, they have to, in their relationship, create some space. They have to consciously create space where he's doing things separately from her, she's doing things separately. And what I point out in the new book is what men can give you and what men can't give you. Because what's happening, another confusion modern women have is if we look at our emotional needs as like different vitamins, okay, one vitamin need is to have a man. Another vitamin need for a woman is to have other women friends, social bonding with people like you. And that's social bonding. Well, women don't have that anymore. If when I was in Bali or when I was in the Ashwar, India, when I was in the Amazon, women are with women all day long.
mm,
And they're interacting, they're supporting each other, they have a lot of empathy. They're getting a lot of empathy and understanding and alignment with other women. Well, when women don't have that, they're looking for that female support from a man. You'll never get it from a man. But a man tries to please her, tries to give it to her, he can't. And now I have the research showing the brain scans, even showing we already talked about the men's mirror neurons not fully opening. The only time a man's mirror neurons fully open is when he's having sex with his wife because she's most vulnerable. And this is so precious. This is the secret why sex is so important for lasting marriage and attraction is that when a woman is vulnerable, it starts open and he's not being blamed. She's vulnerable. She needs help and he's not being blamed. Now, in sex, is she feeling, oh, I need help? She already feels help is here, and I need help to keep going higher and higher. And your attention, your focus, your touch, your love, all those things. So when she feels vulnerable and protected, because being naked is dangerous. All it would take is, honey, you're looking fat these days. Boom, it would just hurt her feelings so much. So to be naked is very, very vulnerable. And to be pleased in that state raises estrogen levels to the highest level. And when she's vulnerable and happy, his mirror neurons have opened fully, which means he can now feel what she feels. And that's the only time a man fully lets in love, except unless he's a little boy and his mother was happy. When you're a little boy, your mirror neurons are open all the time until puberty, and then they close down. So when your mother is not happy, you don't know that you're loved. And it's not like men walk around going, gee, I'm not loved, but they feel not good enough. Whenever a man has anxiety, it's feeling not good enough, can't do. And that all comes because he didn't feel his mother's love. Now, I don't want to blame mothers for this because you can't love a child in a healthy way if you're stressed. We already know that. When you're stressed, your brain changes. You can't give unconditional love. And it sounds like I'm blaming women, but no, why isn't the husband helping her? Okay, so if the husband isn't helping her, making her feel safe, she can't open up. And then if she can open up, then she has unconditional love for her boy. If she doesn't have unconditional love for the boy, he doesn't feel loved. He will always be loved based upon how he can make her happy. And
mm,
so she'll look to the little boy to make her happy, and that looks like, oh, isn't that good? No, because
mm,
she's not getting the love she needs from her husband or from a man. And the boy will always feel that emptiness inside of her and feel inadequate to fill that void. So boys need happy mothers, and happy mothers need happy husbands or successful husbands, successful in providing the safety and security for her. Takes a man and woman to make a child, takes one to grow up. If the mother is loving the boy more than she loves her husband, then the boy's getting the message that if I'm like my father, I won't be loved. And to say I'm not like my father is to hate a part of himself because his father's in there. So powerful.
That's deep.
Yeah, it's so powerful. We are our mother and father inside of us. And if my
Yeah.
dad is not loving my mother, then the feminine side of me, my ability to be happy and creative is going to be stunted in that sense. So we have our male and female sides. Mom, and even if we can't stay together, I understand circumstances cause couples they just can't stay together. At least they can continue to work at being loving towards each other. That's so important. And for a woman to then find a man in her life to fulfill that other vitamin that you can get from being with a man. Otherwise, a boy will sense it. He'll never feel I'm good enough to make my mother happy. A symptom of that is it's really hard for him to hear criticism from a woman. Anything she's not happy about, he gets very defensive about. And that would be childhood wounds just from having parents who aren't happy and fulfilled.
Mm. It's very interesting you mentioned that father wound because I noticed within myself until I forgave my father for perceived hurts from a child, I was incapable of having a proper relationship because there was always part of me which was held back or in negation in that polarity between the female.
Yeah, no, it's a big part of being masculine. I know for me, and healing with my dad, when I was growing up, I'll do a short version of it, but he was affluent and he invested a lot of money, then lost all the money. So when I came along, I didn't know anything. I was a little kid at that time, but my brothers were always saying, well, we can't do this, we can't do that because dad lost all the money. And it was and I didn't really relate to it much because I didn't never lost anything, but evidently they were much richer before I came along, and the kids older than me knew that, and so they had all this resentment towards dad. I didn't have a lot of that, but still, something really happened beautifully in my life, which was, uh, I lost a lot of money at a certain point, and then my children all said, "Oh, we can't go to Europe because you lost the money," and one of them said, "Oh," even though everything did change afterwards, one daughter said to another younger daughter, "Well, you'll never get a house because your dad lost all the money," okay? Or because dad lost all the money. And when that happened and they were saying that about me, I felt so much pain, and then I realized this was my dad's pain. And when I realized I had repeated what my father did
Yeah.
unconsciously to feel his pain, and then I looked at my dad and I had so much understanding and compassion for him, and it was just so
Yeah.
sweet. And now that happened a long time ago, and then once again, I was defrauded just recently out of millions of dollars from someone, and, they were my investment person, and they were doing investments I didn't approve of, and they lost it all, and so of that money. And so I felt that. My wife was upset with me. "You lost the money." My
Huh.
nigga wife went, "You lost all the money, you lost" we didn't lose it all, but "You lost all that money." And I said, "Well, tell me everything you feel." And I didn't get defensive at all because the whole time she was saying it, I was feeling this pain of failure in my heart. And I'm going, "God, this is what dad went through." And so all I felt was just compassion for my dad while she was berating me. And I told her to. I said, I was testing this out. I said, "Look, I know you're really upset about it. You must be mad about this. It's okay to just punch me with it right now," and that made it easier too, and so, "Really?" She said, "Just well, tell me what you're feeling." And so she let it out, and the whole time I'm just feeling this pain, and I'm going, "God, this is how dad felt." I just felt so much love and so much compassion, and then my mind started realizing how hard he had worked for the family and what he'd done for the family and how supportive he was. All these awarenesses came into my awareness of the good aspects of a dad,
Yeah.
and what he had done in his life. So anyway, I'm just saying that it's all a big healing journey for
I have exactly the same. See, my dad did a similar thing with his money. Not to throw my dad under a bus. Hopefully he's not listening. But but the but I was repeating similar patterns, and it's that classic Jungian. Until those shadows are brought to the light, you're going to keep repeating the same circumstances, and that's the other beautiful thing with the forgiveness was not only the relationship, but the relationship with money, the relationship with all these things that I thought were just fate and wasn't fate. I was just repeating patterns of my family lineage. So completely to tea into yeah, no judgment. There's a growth in love, and then realizing. I think the empowering thing for me was realizing I don't need to keep repeating it. Like I can have empathy and gratefulness actually for the, as you said, for the things that taught me. but I've learnt the lesson. Thanks very much. It's time to move on to some new mistakes. But John, I'd love to hear just to close, just what are your, I mean, because my overall takeaway is that obviously we need to pay homage to our biology, get our biology, and I've seen it so many times, just looking at health as the only metric. When people get their minerals correct, they get their endocrine system working properly, and all their hormones balanced, they're so much happier. It's like someone who's unhealthy becomes healthy. It's a new world opens up. So there's that side of it, which then feeds into your relationships, because as you're saying with testosterone and estrogen, we need that balance to be happy. But then if I look at the modern world, we're inundated with toxic foods, toxic water, toxic patterns with, and most of the internet, to my mind, these days is a minefield of toxicity. Of It's really sad to see where, in a lot of ways, where it's ended up. Hopefully that's changing. But it sounds like we need to return to that, as well as obviously not return in terms of, as you said, going backwards, but moving forwards, but with an understanding of what drives us. So with that in mind, yeah, how do you see us moving forward? And I just want to, I guess one question, and I guess the other smaller question that fits within that, and that you mentioned, how do you maintain, like, how have you mentioned space from one another, but how does a modern couple maintain that polarity, assuming that the estrogen and testosterone have been dealt with?
Well, one is you have to have time where a man does things that he enjoys doing without his wife. And
Mm,
a woman needs the support she gets from talking to and sharing with other women. If she doesn't have time for that, she needs to have a coach, a therapist, at least get concentrated, someone who's expert in helping her get in touch with her feelings. What I found with estrogen is you can just talk about what's going on in your life. Somebody goes, yes, yes, that's happening for me too. There's going to be some estrogen of feeling I'm included. But unless you have a therapist that helps you get in touch with emotions and letting them go allow you to produce way more estrogen. And if a man is finding himself feeling irritable, angry, upset, petty, all those kind of things, that means he's producing more estrogen. He's already has those emotions. So if he has those emotions, he also has to process those emotions, learn how to do that. So that's a big skill because what you do is you don't verbalize it to somebody. You imagine verbalizing it to somebody, but you actually don't do it. You write it out and you
mm,
process it. And when you process, I have a all my books explain how to
mm,
process negative emotions. There's always some anger, some sadness, some fear, some regret. There's also what you want, awareness of what you need. And then you imagine getting it. And then you get to imagine how you would feel if you got it. And then you're connected back to your soul. And this is all for men, particularly through analysis, which produces testosterone while you're connected to your emotions. It's a lot. That's like a whole weekend course I just gave, but uh,
no,
I do have. It is explained in any of my books. It's called the Feeling Letter Exercise. But I wrote an app. I have an app which is called Mars Venus Heart Space App. Heart Space app, and it asks you 5 questions, and then it will compose a letter of all expressing emotions. Because
mm,
people usually talk on the surface, or they say
mm,
things, "I feel like you don't care, nobody helps me." But what's the emotion that goes with it? See, emotion is more physical. It's connecting mind and body right there in the emotions. If you can feel an emotion that's been suppressed, then you can let it go. But you have to first feel it. What Jung said was, the whole purpose of growth is making the unconscious conscious.
yes, mm,
And if you can do that without using negativity to get what you want, but just feeling the negativity, and then looking at what you're really wanting, it will go away. But it only goes away if you tell the total truth about it. And that's why people get stuck with their negative emotions. They run out of them. Because if you're angry, you're also afraid. If you're sad, you're also angry. If you're feeling guilty, you're also mad. All these emotions are tied in together, and we tend to just dip in a little bit. When I teach long classes, I help people get all the way through it, and they can really let go of it. But the app does it for them now. It's called Mars Venus Heart Space app, and so that can be really helpful for people, and it explains how to do this process. So I think that's really important for all of us, particularly as men have lower testosterone, they have higher estrogen, so they have more emotion. And so you have to learn how to quietly not talk about it out loud, but
mm,
reflect on it inside, either through journaling or talking to another guy can do it, talking to somebody who's really outside the picture, maybe a therapist or whatever. But the best thing is when you can do it all by yourself, because you have to remember when you're independent, you make testosterone. When you're depending and connecting, you're making estrogen. And we as human beings need both. It's just in coping with stress, women need more estrogen, men need more testosterone.
Mm. I don't know if you've had experience with this, John, but it's funny. I run long. I run quite a lot, and I also do boxing. I also journal, so I do all of those things. But it's very funny. Like, well, when I box, and I could be, it could have been a bad day. I meditate. I do a lot of meditation too, but it's really funny somatically when I do something physically difficult and hard, and maybe this leads to the adrenaline and obviously the testosterone. But I can go in there with a busy day, a busy head, feeling tired or irritated. I come out and I'm so grounded and calm. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely, that's cave time activity. It's
Yeah,
just every man has his ways. When I was a little boy, I mean, my mother had me do boxing, I did judo, I did karate, and then I was a little entrepreneur. She really helped me connect to my masculine side. It was really,
yeah.
really helpful parenting, and so you figured it out. Boxing's great for that.
Yeah, it's just funny how, yeah, you can intellectualize as well, but then sometimes you see get hit in the face. Not too hard. Just tap. Yeah, yeah, I'll put the mouth guard in. So, John, just to finish, and I'm so thank you so much for your generosity of time and just a beautiful conversation. And I've really loved hearing from you. And there's so much for people to take away. But firstly, just if you'd like to let everyone know when the release date and the new book, and then your final thoughts on yeah, what's your overall feeling for where we're headed? Because it is. People like to say it's crazy times. Every epoch is a crazy time for the people living in them. But what's your sense of what's to come for
Okay, well,
relationships?
the first question is my book just released last week, so it's
Oh,
Men Are From Mars.
congratulations!
It's for women only, and it's at Amazon. That's I think most people get it. It'll be a while before it gets into the bookstores because I self-published, and at first I get it at the top of Amazon, and then the bookstores will start ordering it. So
Yep.
that is available. I would love for people who do read it, please put a comment that encourages people if you find it helpful. Uh, so the where I see we're going is as I mentioned, I haven't written a book in 8 years. What I saw is we were so far out of whack, with women and men not understanding that we're different. I just sort of held back in terms of writing a new book until everybody really realized that we're in the wrong direction. I mean, a lot of women today are saying, "I've just become
Yeah,
too
I agree.
masculine. I wanna soften. I wanna come back to my female side." The research was showing men's testosterone levels going down, women going through menopause and they're single, they've been divorced, they can't find another man, no man is good enough. All of this is regulated by hormones. So people are starting to realize I've been going in the wrong direction. What's the right direction when it comes to gender? So that's when I decided to write these 6 books. This last year, I wrote 6 books for women only because what I see to be the case, as I mentioned in the beginning, when women come in without a man, they do have the power to bring out the best in a man. And that's what these books do. They give them the information to do it. And it doesn't mean changing who you are, just having a different perspective. Certainly men, men just don't buy the books. They don't buy as many books. People are just watching TV now. So I said, let's just write the books for women who there's many women still read books because you can really go, you can underline it, you can go back over it, you can apply it as opposed to just in one ear, out the other. So I'm focusing primarily on women. But if men, want to learn how to have a big impact, the book would be well, Men Are From Mars still is a classic, but if you're not in a traditional relationship, it would be Beyond Mars and Venus because that has all the hormone information. It helps you really get why women have changed and how you can adapt to help them change back to becoming feminine while they're also masculine. Um, so real briefly, I guess I could mention since I meant 6 books that it's just a lot of information. You don't need it all. The first book will create dramatic change, but it's called Be Happy with or Without a Man. The whole theme is women, if you can make yourself happy, it's easier for him to make you happier. You can't be so dependent on a man. When you're unhappy, you're depending too much. Next one was is why men fall in love and stay in love. We touched on that, the polarity. Because when you love your partner, you will make prolactin, and that knocks down the sexual drive unless you have polarity and you fall in love again and again and again.
Mm,
Another one is how to talk so a man will listen. When a man when a man doesn't have to read this book. One example in that is just simply say to your husband, "I want to talk for 10 minutes and you don't have to say anything. I'll feel better." What man won't do that? And what will happen is she thinks, "Well, I want conversation." Well, I have to explain to her, you don't need conversation with your husband. That's what you need with girlfriends. You think you need him to be talking about his feelings and all these things? No, you don't need that. And actually, that would just push you more into your mothering energy because
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so just to help women understand, but they need a lot of understanding and logic to get this because there's a big battle over there. Men should be more like women, and then when they are, you're not in love with them. So then there's a few more. One for women over 40, for strong, independent women. What to do when men pull away, what not to do when men pull away. Because women unknowingly sabotage the relationships again and again because they don't know how to deal when a man's becoming masculine. They make him wrong. Instead of understanding you get the goods from a man when you learn how to support his natural tendencies.
Mm.
So those books are coming along. There's all of that to a certain extent in the first book, and then I elaborate into all the questions that women have because they tend to have lots of questions. Men don't. They could read Beyond Mars and Venus, and this guy was just telling me today, man, it just changed my life. I just now I know I was doing everything wrong. And so that was, and it's pretty simple for guys, but for women, it's complex. And so I wrote more books for them. I love people to visit me at marsvenus.com. Check me out at YouTube for more talks from me. It's under John Gray Mars Venus or Mars Venus John Gray. A lot of other talks.
And you do lives weekly, don't you, as well?
Yeah,
People
I do
are
2 hour.
yeah,
Was it Tuesdays and Thursdays? I do live, so usually an hour, hour and a half, something like that,
yeah.
and people can ask questions. Um, I know you're into health. I'm totally into health. We never touched it, but I used to have a health food store. I think there's a foundation of health to support the hormones, to support the relationships. It's a big picture. I focus on today on one thing, but there's a at my website, there's a product, but I just realized you can't order it in Australia, but
Oh,
it's
it's okay.
really
I got most people listen in the States anyway, so you can
oh, okay, okay,
yeah.
good. It's called if you go to marsvenus.com, you'll see at the very top, it's called lithium orotate. And it's a special advanced design of lithium orotate, but it is one of the biggest stress reducers and hormone balancers that I've experienced. I've been promoting it for 30 years. I used to have health food store, but that was our main product that people loved. And it's because it works right away. If you have any stress or ups and downs, you'll notice that right away. If you don't have stress, you won't notice anything, but it will still help your brain develop. Harvard did a 10-year study showing it as a treatment for Alzheimer's, to
Mhm,
reverse Alzheimer's, and also to avoid Alzheimer's. And it's just 2 little capsules a day. And with it has ashwagandha and saffron, all the other good stuff combined with this missing ingredient, which is lithium, which is so powerful. It's a big talk, but the pharmaceutical industry has got all this bad stuff about it, and the bad stuff about it is the kind that doctors give. The
psychiatric, yeah,
Yeah, it's all psychiatric, but actually
yeah,
the lithium orotate, a small dose goes in your brain. You need it. It used to be in our food, and anytime you're either stressed or you're eating sugar, you lose your lithium, and that's why it's
mm,
one of the biggest. It's very important to balance the brain chemical. Anything that gives you a big boost, you're going to lose your lithium. So you need to supplement it, and so I
mm,
find it to be very helpful for people. If I was to focus on one thing, it would be that. Certainly, there's other things you talk about them, I talk about them, but that's one thing is you won't hear people talking about it. You won't see it in health food stores. You can get it online. And even when you're getting online, you're just going to get the lithium orotate as opposed to cofactors. So I've been developing this and manufacturing it for over 30 years to get the best product. So if they go there, they'll see it's a little more expensive, but it's the best.
mm. Comes back to me for the mind's a product of the body, and the mind doesn't just exist in your head either, and until you get your body, yeah, you're not gonna have a healthy mind and an unhealthy body.
Got to have the body, got to have healthy mind, and got to have healthy relationships.
Yeah, and then there's enlightenment, hopefully.
Then we go to enlightenment. Okay.
There's some other that's another conversation altogether.
That is, I do, I've been doing meditation for 50 years and I was
Yeah,
a celibate monk. I did the whole thing and I'm a wellspring of creativity. Why? Because I have access to my soul.
yeah,
I meditate every day, ground myself in that. And I also try to have cosmic love making when my wife is in town. I
yeah,
think that's also extremely spiritual to experience deep love and commitment and
yeah.
ecstasy. And we all deserve that. We just have to learn how to create it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for the day where that's more a part of common culture rather than what we have now, which is the pornification, the complete opposite of like practices from Taoism and Tantra, which access other
That's how
dimensions.
I learned it. I learned Tantra in
Yeah.
India. I learned Tantra. I've been going to China for 25 years. I have all these
Yeah.
Tantra Taoist masters that taught me, and I westernized it. I have a technique that's, more for Western people.
I know. I think it needs to be, yeah, because it's almost, I've learned from Taoism too and Tantra, and it's quite abstract. I found just having it explained, do this, do that, do this, okay.
Yeah, well, if you've got a lot of male audience, I'll teach them online. Then maybe I should just do a video of it. It's so intimate to share that you don't want to share it for somebody to make fun of you or
No,
take
no,
it
no,
as
it's a
content.
separate,
It's a
yeah.
delicate, private thing. But I've mastered it. I try. A good book to read for people is what's his name? The Taoist teacher who's most popular.
Tit Chup, Tit Chup. I know who you're talking about. He's Thai originally. Uh, yeah, I know. I thought I had his book in.
His name, but there's a book called M the multi-orgasmic couple, they talk about it, orgasm, multi-orgasmic man, there's a book, and I forget his name, and I tried his techniques,
It's
and they're it's like hold back. It's always like hold back, and I'm not into any kind of control. It's learning how to,
it's learning how to relax. Yeah,
it's
it's the
relax,
opposite.
relax, relax, relax,
Yeah,
relax. Go higher and higher, higher. Your body just can't take that much voltage right away, otherwise you'll wanna
you
ejaculate.
explode.
Have to
Yeah,
be able to so it's kinda like get to number 7 on a scale of 1 to 10, and then and then focus your mind not on pleasure, but shift, why am I having sex? It's to feel more love. See, every time you focus your mind from the pleasure, which certainly feels good, to why am I doing this? To feel more love. And that's the whole key, is to take the goal out of it, of trying to have an orgasm or anything. But just, I notice I get to number 7 and I just go, I keep going, but it's like shift from, oh, it feels so good, I want more of it, to why am I doing this? To feel more love, and then to feel more love. Because every time you feel more love, you're taking the energy from the lower part of your body up into your heart. And then to also have conversation, loving conversation in sex also brings it all the way up into the head. So I have these exercises in what is that second book I have, all about how to talk during sex. Because if a woman can talk and express, it's fantastic because you're listening to her and you're just connecting with her, because they're all about expression. When they're expressing and you're connecting, so there's a lot more to lovemaking than the more ancient traditions. They had the wisdom. You don't want to spill your seed, otherwise you got to recover. And if you, in recovery takes longer the more prolactin you have in your body. So I have so much prolactin. If I ejaculate, it could be a
yeah,
long
yeah,
time before I want to have sex again. Not that long, but because there is a lot of polarity. But if you don't ejaculate, be a multi-orgasm, and people say, "Well, then how do you know you're done?" It's like when she's done, and she'll know
yeah.
she's done.
And you leave with more energy too as a man rather than
Always,
depleted.
always, you're
Yeah,
ready to go the next day, but there's
yeah,
no have to. You see, that's what the prolactin does. My wife can go away. It's not like I get horny. It's like I'm just busy myself in my life, but when she comes back, it's like right there.
yeah,
Because it's the polarity of her body and my body. She's feminine, I'm masculine. Their bodies just know what to do when that energy's there.
yeah. That's the divine union of the universe, which we're all here. We're all here because of. It's not some small energy that you're dealing with. It's beautiful. John, thank you for your time.
Okay, you're very welcome. Thank you so much.